Emotional control is power. Most people are not weak. They are undisciplined emotionally. They wake up calm. One comment ruins their mood. One delay steals their focus. One opinion shakes their confidence. That is not life happening to you. That is emotions controlling you. The top 1% are not emotionless. They feel everything and obey nothing. They do not react. They decide. They do not chase validation. They generate authority. This audiobook will teach you how to stop emotional leaks, build internal stability, become unshakable in chaos, and operate from calm power, not impulse. If you master your emotions, life stops controlling you. Let's begin.
Chapter 1. Build an emotional baseline. Most people think emotions are unpredictable. They think moods just happen. They think some days are good and some days are bad, and that's life. That belief is the problem. The elite do not wake up asking, "How do I feel today?" They wake up operating from a baseline. A baseline is your default emotional state. It is where you return after stress. It is where you settle after disruption. It is the emotional temperature your body and mind consider normal. If your baseline is unstable, your life will be unstable. If your baseline is calm, your decisions will be clear. And if you never build a baseline at all, your emotions will run wild. This chapter is about engineering emotional stability, not chasing motivation. Most people live without an emotional baseline. Here's the truth most people avoid. They don't have emotional control. They have emotional randomness. They wake up okay, then traffic annoys them. A message triggers them. A delay frustrates them. A small inconvenience ruins their mood. By noon, they're drained. By evening, they're reactive. By night, they're exhausted, emotionally and mentally. Not because life is hard, but because they are operating without structure. Emotional swings don't come from sensitivity. They come from lack of internal systems. If you have no baseline, everything affects you. Every opinion, every problem, every inconvenience. The elite do not live like this. The top 1% design their default state. High performers do not depend on willpower. They do not depend on motivation. They do not depend on how they feel. They design how they feel. They choose calm as default. They choose clarity as default. They choose emotional neutrality as default. Not because they are special, but because they are intentional. When pressure hits, you don't become your best self. You become your trained self. If your baseline is chaos, pressure exposes it. If your baseline is calm, pressure reveals strength. Emotional stability is not personality, it is design. Let's kill a myth right now. Some people think emotional stability is a personality trait. They say things like, "I'm just emotional. That's how I am. I feel things deeply." No, that's not personality. That's lack of regulation. Your nervous system learns patterns. Your mind follows routines. Your emotions respond to environment. If your environment is chaotic, your emotions will be chaotic. If your habits are inconsistent, your mood will suffer. The elite understand this and design around it. Routines quietly control your emotions. You don't feel unstable because you are weak. You feel unstable because your days are unstructured. Look at most people's routines. Random sleep times, no morning structure, constant phone stimulation, poor nutrition, no physical regulation. Then they wonder why they feel anxious, distracted, or irritated. That's not emotion, that's cause and effect. The elite build routines that stabilize them before problems arise. They wake up at consistent times, control early day inputs, reduce decision fatigue, anchor their mornings. They don't wait to feel good. They engineer steadiness.
Your environment trains your emotions.
Your surroundings are not neutral. They are training you every day. A cluttered space trains mental noise. Constant notifications train agitation. Noise trains distraction. Disorder trains stress. You cannot meditate your way out of a chaotic environment. The elite remove unnecessary emotional friction. They simplify what they see, what they hear, what they interact with. They don't add calm, they remove chaos. And once chaos is removed, calm becomes natural. Habits decide your mood before you notice. By the time you feel irritated, the cause already happened. Poor sleep, too much stimulation, too little movement, unregulated breathing, excess consumption. Your emotions are not betraying you. They are reporting conditions. The elite listen to those reports and fix the system, not complain about the signal. They ask, "What did I do yesterday? What pattern is causing this? What needs adjusting?" That is emotional maturity. Why motivation fails you. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. It spikes and crashes. If your emotional control depends on motivation, you will lose control when motivation disappears. The elite do not wait to feel inspired. They operate regardless of feeling, because their baseline carries them forward even on low days. That's the power of design. Building your own emotional baseline. This is where responsibility begins. You must stop asking, "How do I feel?" and start asking, "What system is producing this feeling?" Your baseline is shaped by sleep consistency, morning structure, environment order, physical regulation, mental inputs. You don't need perfection, you need consistency. A stable baseline does not eliminate emotion, it reduces volatility, and reduced volatility equals power. Why this matters before any other skill. Before confidence, before discipline, before focus, before productivity. If your emotional baseline is unstable, every other skill collapses under pressure. That's why this chapter comes first. You cannot master emotions moment by moment if your default state is chaos. First, you stabilize. Then you observe. Then you refine. Which brings us to the next skill. Chapter takeaway. Emotional mastery does not begin with control. It begins with design. Build a stable default state, and life stops throwing you off balance. Chapter 2. Stop reacting, start observing. Most people think their problem is emotion. It's not. Their real problem is reaction. Reaction is fast. Reaction is automatic. Reaction happens before thinking. And reaction is where power is lost. You don't lose control because you feel anger. You lose control because you act before awareness appears. The top 1% do not eliminate emotion. They eliminate blind reaction. They replace it with observation. Reaction is automatic. Observation is trained. Reaction requires no skill. If someone insults you, reaction fires. If plans change suddenly, reaction fires. If something doesn't go your way, reaction fires. Reaction is the nervous system protecting identity. Observation, on the other hand, is not natural. It must be trained deliberately. Observation means you notice the emotion rising, you label it without judging it, you watch it instead of obeying it. This pause, even if it lasts 2 seconds, changes everything. Because the moment you observe, you are no longer inside the emotion, you are above it. Why most people live inside their emotions. Most people don't say, I am angry. They say, I am anger. They don't say, I feel anxious. They say, I am anxious. That subtle difference destroys control. When you identify as the emotion, there is no space between you and the reaction. You speak as it. You act as it. You defend it. The elite never do this. They say, anger is present. Frustration is rising. Tension is here. That language creates distance. Distance creates choice. Awareness creates emotional space. Here's a truth that sounds simple but changes everything. You cannot control what you do not notice. If you don't notice tension until you snap, it's too late. If you don't notice irritation until you lash out, control is gone. The top 1% catch emotions early. They feel the first signal: tightness in the chest, shallow breathing, jaw clenching, internal pressure. These are not problems, they are alerts. Observation turns emotion into information, and information is power. Emotional intensity needs participation. Here's something most people don't realize. Emotions grow stronger when you engage them, when you replay the thought, when you justify the feeling, when you mentally argue, when you rehearse what you'll say. That mental participation feeds the emotion. Observation starves it. When you simply notice, this is anger, this is frustration, this is disappointing, without commentary, the emotion begins to dissolve on its own. Not instantly, but steadily.
Calm observation disarms emotions. You don't need to fight emotion. You don't need to suppress it. You don't need to fix it. You need to watch it without attachment. Think of it like weather. Storms pass. Clouds move. But only if you don't chase them. The top 1% allow emotions to rise and fall without making them personal. They don't dramatize. They don't personalize. They don't escalate. They observe. And observation returns calm faster than force ever could. Why reaction makes you easy to control. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Reactive people are predictable. Push the button, get the response. Say the word, trigger the reaction. Apply pressure, watch them fold. That's why emotional control equals power. When you stop reacting, people lose leverage over you. You are no longer easy to provoke, no longer easy to manipulate, no longer easy to destabilize. Calm observation makes you unmovable. Everyday examples of observation in action. Let's make this real. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Reaction? Anger spikes. Thoughts race. Mood ruined for the next hour. Observation. You notice the spike. You feel the heat. You don't feed it. The moment passes. Another example. Someone sends a disrespectful message. Reaction? Immediate reply. Emotional tone. Escalation. Observation. You read it. You feel irritation. You pause. Later, you respond with clarity or not at all. That pause protects your authority. Observation is not passivity. Let's be clear. Observation is not weakness. It is not avoidance. It is not submission. It is delayed authority. You are not ignoring emotion. You are refusing to let it decide for you. The elite still act. They just act after clarity appears. How to train observation daily. This skill grows with repetition. Start small. Notice your breath during stress. Name the emotion silently. Pause before responding. You don't need long meditation sessions. You need frequent awareness. Every time you catch yourself reacting and stop, you strengthen control. Awareness compounds. Why observation builds respect.
People feel safe around those who are emotionally steady. They trust them, they follow them, they listen to them. Observation creates presence. Presence creates influence. That's why leaders are calm under pressure. Not because they feel less, but because they see more. The real goal of this chapter. This chapter is not about peace, it's about choice. Once you observe, you can choose when to speak, when to stay silent, when to act, when to walk away. Reaction removes choice. Observation restores it. Chapter takeaway. Reaction is automatic. Observation is trained. Awareness creates distance. Distance creates control. You cannot master emotions you do not notice. Chapter 3. Discipline your inner dialogue. You don't suffer because of events. You suffer because of the conversation you have about those events. Most people believe their thoughts are private. They believe inner talk doesn't matter. That belief is dangerous. Your internal dialogue is the loudest voice in your life. It speaks before you act. It speaks while you decide. It speaks when no one else is around. And if that voice is undisciplined, your emotions will never be stable. Internal language shapes emotional reality. Words are not neutral. The language you use inside your mind directly influences how your body responds. Tell yourself, "This is overwhelming," and your chest tightens. Tell yourself, "I can't handle this," and your energy drops. But say, "This is manageable," and your nervous system responds differently. The elite understand this. They don't let random thoughts narrate their lives. They choose the tone of their inner voice, because emotion follows language. Uncontrolled thoughts create emotional chaos. Most people don't think, they react mentally. A problem appears, then comes the spiral. Worst-case scenarios, self-doubt, mental arguments, emotional overload. None of that solves anything. Unchecked thoughts manufacture stress even when nothing is happening. The body doesn't know the difference between real danger and imagined danger. Your thoughts trigger the same stress response. That's why mental discipline is emotional discipline. Why negotiating with your mind fails. Here's a mistake most people make. They try to reason gently with their mind. Maybe it's not that bad. Let me think about it. I'll calm down later. That's negotiation. And negotiation implies the mind is in charge. The elite do not negotiate with mental chaos. They interrupt it. They issue commands. Stop. Enough. Focus. Move on. Not angrily, not emotionally, firmly. Command creates authority. Your mind responds to certainty. When you speak to yourself hesitantly, your mind keeps talking. When you speak decisively, the noise reduces. This is not affirmation, this is authority. Authority is not positive thinking. Authority is clear thinking. The top 1% don't say, "I hope this works." They say, "I will handle this." That certainty stabilizes emotion. Are you thinking or ruminating? Thinking is purposeful. Rumination is emotional noise. Thinking asks, "What's the solution? What's the next step?" Rumination asks, "Why me? What if it goes wrong? What will people think?" One builds clarity, the other drains energy. The elite shut down rumination quickly. They redirect thought toward action. Examples of disciplined inner dialogue. When you make a mistake at work. Undisciplined inner talk goes like this: "I messed up. This always happens. They'll lose respect for me." Disciplined inner talk is different. It says, "Error identified. Fix it. Move forward." Another example. You feel tired and unmotivated. Undisciplined inner talk. "I'm exhausted. I deserve a break. I'll do it tomorrow." Disciplined inner talk. Energy follows action. Start anyway. One step. One builds weakness. The other builds authority. Your inner voice trains your identity. Every sentence you repeat internally reinforces who you believe you are. If your inner voice is emotional, you become reactive. If your inner voice is disciplined, you become stable. Identity is trained through repetition. The elite speak to themselves like a firm, calm leader, not cruel, not soft, clear. Rewire your inner dialogue. Don't stop thoughts, replace them. When a chaotic thought appears, interrupt it, issue a command, redirect attention. Example, stop, focus on what's next. At first, it feels forced, then it becomes automatic. That's training. Why this skill multiplies emotional control. Observation lets you see emotion. Inner dialogue decides whether it grows or fades. If you observe but keep feeding the thought, emotion stays. If you observe and command, emotion weakens. This is the bridge between awareness and mastery. Discipline is not harsh, it is freeing. People fear mental discipline because they think it's restrictive. It's the opposite. Mental discipline reduces noise. Noise causes suffering. Clear thinking creates calm. Calm creates power. The elite are not mentally harsh, they are mentally efficient. Chapter takeaway. Your inner dialogue shapes your emotional world. Unchecked thoughts manufacture stress. Commanded thoughts create stability. Stop negotiating with your mind. Start leading it.
Chapter 4. Your triggers reveal your weak spots. Most people hate being triggered. They blame people. They blame circumstances. They blame disrespect. But the elite do something different. They study their triggers. Because triggers are not the problem, they are data. And if you're serious about emotional mastery, you must stop being offended by your triggers and start being educated by them. Triggers are not accidents. Nothing triggers you randomly. Not tone, not words, not behavior. If it provokes an emotional reaction, it touched something unfinished inside you. That's uncomfortable to hear, but it's true. If someone says something and it ruins your entire day, they didn't create that power, they revealed it. The elite understand this. They don't ask, why would they say that? They ask, why did that affect me? That question is where growth begins. Triggers expose unresolved vulnerabilities. Let's get clear. If criticism destroys your mood, you're attached to approval. If disrespect enrages you, you're attached to status. If rejection crushes you, you're attached to validation. If being ignored hurts deeply, you're attached to being seen. These attachments operate quietly until someone touches them. Then emotion explodes. That explosion is not weakness, it's unexamined dependence. Nothing provokes you without attachment. Here's the hard truth. If you weren't attached, you wouldn't be triggered. Someone can only disturb what you're gripping. Think about it. People criticize millionaires every day. They don't collapse. Why? Because their identity isn't tied to every opinion. The elite don't eliminate emotion. They eliminate emotional dependency. And dependency always shows itself through triggers. Why most people defend their triggers? Most people do not want to look inward, so they justify their reactions. Anyone would be angry. That was disrespectful. I had every right to react. Maybe, but justification keeps the weakness alive. The elite don't defend reactions, they audit them. They don't excuse emotional leakage, they investigate it, because self-honesty is more powerful than pride. Triggers are maps to emotional freedom. Every trigger is a signpost. It points to an insecurity, a dependency, a fragile identity point.
If you track your triggers, you discover exactly where you still lack control. That's not shameful, that's useful. The elite treat triggers like diagnostics. They ask, what belief was threatened? What identity felt attacked? What outcome am I attached to? Answering honestly restores power. Look at these examples of triggers. Someone interrupts you repeatedly. Reaction, anger, resentment, internal tension. What's underneath? Need to be respected, fear of being dismissed. Another example. Someone succeeds where you failed. Reaction, envy, irritation, self-doubt. What's underneath? Comparison, identity tied to performance. The emotion is not the issue. The attachment is. Self-honesty is emotional strength. Self-honesty does not mean self-attack. It means self-clarity. The elite do not lie to themselves to protect their ego. They say, this bothered me. This exposed something. This is mine to fix. That mindset dissolves victimhood. Victimhood keeps you reactive. Ownership makes you dangerous, in a good way. How to disarm a trigger. You don't fight the trigger, you expose the attachment behind it. When triggered, ask, what am I afraid of losing? What do I need here? Why does this matter so much? Once the attachment is named, the emotional charge weakens. Awareness breaks automatic reaction. Triggers make you easy to manipulate. Anyone who knows your triggers can control your behavior. They push the button, you respond. That's not strength. The elite remove buttons. They don't become cold, they become less hookable. No hooks, no leverage. That's freedom. This is why emotional strength is quiet. The strongest people don't overreact, not because they don't feel, but because they've cleaned up their attachments. They are not easily provoked, not easily shaken, not easily controlled. That calm is earned through honesty. Chapter takeaway. Triggers are not enemies, they are teachers. Nothing provokes you without an attachment, and every attachment you expose returns emotional control to you. Emotional strength begins with self-honesty. Chapter 5. Master Delayed Emotional Response. Most people think honesty means immediacy. They think, if I feel it, I should say it. If I'm upset, I should express it. Holding back is fake. That belief is emotional immaturity. Immediate expression is not authenticity. It is lack of regulation. The top 1% feel emotions fully, but they delay response intentionally, and that delay changes everything. Immediate expression is emotional immaturity. Children express emotions instantly. Adults learn restraint. The elite master timing. If you speak while emotion is hot, you are not communicating. You are discharging tension. That discharge may feel good in the moment, but it weakens your position. Power is not in release. Power is in control of release. The elite never let emotions rush decisions. Time is an emotional filter. Emotions are intense but temporary. Anger fades, frustration cools, disappointment softens. Time weakens emotional charge without you doing anything. That's why delayed response works. When you wait, clarity increases, perspective returns, options appear. What felt urgent becomes manageable. Why delay creates leverage. When you respond immediately, you give away information. Your emotional state becomes visible. Your pressure points are exposed. When you delay, others wonder. Power shifts. You control the pace. Silence after provocation is destabilizing. The elite understand this. They let others speak first. They let emotions reveal themselves. They stay composed. That composure creates authority. Clarity lives after emotion peaks. No one makes their best decisions at emotional peak. Anger narrows thinking. Fear distorts judgment. Excitement clouds risk assessment. The elite wait until emotion settles before acting. That's not avoidance, that's intelligence. They respond from clarity, not chemistry.
Everyday examples of delayed response. Someone criticizes you publicly. Immediate response, defensiveness, escalation, loss of authority. Delayed response, you pause, you observe, you respond later with precision. Another example, a partner says something hurtful. Immediate response, argument, emotional spiral. Delayed response, space, calm, productive conversation. Delay protects outcomes. Delay is not suppression. Let's clear this up. Delayed response is not bottling emotion. It's processing before expression. Suppression ignores emotion. Delay respects it without obeying it. The elite don't bury feelings. They schedule expression. And when they speak with impact. Most people struggle with delay because delay feels uncomfortable. Silence feels like weakness. Waiting feels like loss of control. But that discomfort is discipline forming. If you can sit with emotion without reacting, you are building emotional muscle. Most people avoid that discomfort. The elite train in it. How to practice delayed response. Start with small delays. Count to 10. Step away. Sleep on it. You don't need perfection. You need consistency. Each successful delay reduces emotional impulsivity. Over time, delay becomes instinct. Predictability is weakness. If people know you'll react immediately, they control the tempo. When you delay, you disrupt expectations. You regain control. You choose your moment. The elite are calm while others burn. The top 1% respond when others are still heated. This is the key difference. Most people speak during emotion. The elite speak after emotion passes. That timing commands attention, increases respect, improves outcomes. They don't rush. They wait, then strike with clarity. Chapter takeaway. Immediate expression is emotional immaturity. Delay is emotional intelligence. Time weakens emotional charge. Delayed response creates leverage. The top 1% respond when others are still heated. Chapter 6. Emotional energy is finite. Spend it intentionally. Most people are emotionally exhausted and have no idea why. They say they're tired. They say they're burned out. They say they've lost motivation. But the truth is simpler. They've been spending emotional energy everywhere. Every annoyance, every opinion, every message, every reaction. And now they're empty. The top 1% don't have more energy than you. They waste less of it. Emotional reactions drain mental reserves. Every emotional reaction has a cost. Anger costs focus. Worry costs clarity. Frustration costs patience. You don't feel the drain immediately. You feel it later as fatigue, irritability, and fog. Most people react without realizing they are burning mental fuel. The elite monitor that fuel carefully. Why you feel tired even when you did nothing. You can spend energy without moving, arguing in your head, replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios. That's emotional spending. Your body doesn't know the difference between real conflict and imagined conflict. Stress chemistry still fires, energy still drains. Not everything deserves emotional engagement. This is where power begins. Just because something happens does not mean it deserves your emotion. Just because someone speaks does not mean they deserve a reaction. The elite filter before they feel. They ask, consciously or unconsciously, does this matter? Will this affect my future? Is this worth my energy? Most things fail the test. Selective emotional investment is power. Power is not intensity. Power is selectivity. When you react to everything, nothing you feel carries weight. When you react rarely, your emotions have impact. The elite choose carefully what they care about, what they engage, what they ignore. That selectivity preserves strength. Ignoring is not weakness. Let's destroy this myth. Ignoring is not avoidance. Ignoring is prioritization. Weak people react because they feel obligated. Strong people ignored because they feel secure. The elite don't need to prove themselves through reaction. Silence is often dominance. Emotional endurance is built by conservation. Endurance isn't built by intensity, it's built by restraint. If you spend emotional energy recklessly, you crash early, you lose focus, you become volatile. If you conserve, you last longer, you think clearer, you stay composed under pressure. The top 1% play the long game. Examples of emotional conservation. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Reaction: anger spike, adrenaline surge, mood damaged. Conservation: no reaction, energy preserved, focus maintained. Another example: online arguments. Reaction: emotional drain, no real outcome. Conservation: scroll past, stay centered. The elite don't fight battles that don't pay. Emotional spending becomes addictive. Reaction feels active, engagement feels important, but it's a trap. Your brain rewards reaction with stimulation. You mistake stimulation for productivity. The elite break this addiction. They prefer calm to chaos. Create rules for emotional spending. Rules remove decision fatigue. Examples: I don't react when tired. I don't engage during anger. I don't respond immediately to provocation. Rules protect energy automatically. Discipline replaces willpower. Focus is a side effect of emotional control. When emotional noise drops, focus increases, decisions improve, confidence stabilizes. Calm is not passive. Calm is optimized performance. Chapter takeaway. Emotional energy is finite. Every reaction costs something. Not everything deserves engagement. Selective emotional investment is power. Conservation increases endurance and focus.
Chapter 7. Emotional control is a daily practice. Most people think emotional control is an event, a single breakthrough, a moment of clarity, a miracle of willpower. It's not. Emotional control is a habit, a practice, a lifestyle. You don't become steady in a day. You become steady through daily repetition. Mastery is built through repetition. Think about physical training. You don't wake up one morning with six-pack abs. You train consistently, day after day, month after month. The same principle applies to emotional mastery. Every time you pause before reacting, delay your response, observe instead of exploding, conserve energy instead of squandering it, you are strengthening neural pathways. Repetition turns behavior into instinct. The elite don't rely on motivation, they rely on habit. Emotional discipline requires structure. Random days produce random emotions. Unplanned mornings, chaotic routines, constant stimulation, all of it trains your mind to react impulsively. Structure is your shield. The elite design their days carefully. Wake at the same time every day. Control morning inputs. Prioritize high-value tasks first. Minimize distractions. Structure doesn't remove challenges. It stabilizes your internal state so challenges don't destabilize you. Routine stabilizes the mind. Your brain craves patterns. Without them, it searches for emotional stimuli everywhere. Social media notifications, arguments, random drama, internal ruminations. Routine tells your brain, this is predictable, this is safe, this is controlled. Even small routines matter. 10 minutes of meditation, morning journaling, daily reflection, physical movement. Each one builds calm by design. Consistency compounds. The elite don't rely on emergency willpower. They rely on automatic calm. Consistency turns control into identity. Here's the secret many people miss. Discipline is temporary. Identity is permanent. When you practice emotional control consistently, you stop thinking about control. It becomes who you are. Calm becomes your default. Steadiness becomes your reputation. Your emotions no longer hijack your behavior. They serve your choices instead. You stop reacting because it's unnatural to you. You start responding because it's natural to you. Daily practice examples. Morning stress, traffic, kids, deadlines. Reactive person yells, fumes, carries it all day. Daily practice person notices stress, breathes, plans calmly. The morning passes without hijacking the day. Work conflict, aggressive colleague or client. Reactive person replies heatedly, escalates tension. Daily practice person observes, pauses, selects words carefully. Influence increases while drama decreases. Personal life, arguments at home or with friends. Reactive person loses temper, emotional energy drained. Daily practice person uses pause, reflection, empathy. Emotional energy preserved, relationships strengthened. Repetition turns these moments into automatic mastery. Daily practice trumps willpower. Willpower is fragile. It cracks under stress. It fades with fatigue. Daily practice is structural. It doesn't depend on feelings. It doesn't depend on motivation. The elite don't wait to feel like controlling themselves. They practice control until it becomes natural. Daily practice has cumulative effect. Control builds on control. Every calm decision adds momentum. Every delayed response reinforces identity. Every conserved reaction strengthens endurance. Soon, your emotional baseline shifts. Chaos affects you less. Triggers affect you less. Drama affects you less. Steadiness becomes a habit. Habit becomes identity. Identity becomes power. Chapter takeaway. Emotional control is not a skill you use occasionally. It is a daily practice you cultivate intentionally. Mastery is built through repetition. Structure stabilizes the mind. Consistency turns control into identity. Chapter 8. Train your nervous system, not just your mind. You think mastering your emotions is all about thinking. It's not. Your emotions don't start in the brain. They start in the body. Before you label anger, fear, or frustration, your nervous system has already reacted. Heart rate spikes, muscles tighten, breathing becomes shallow, hormones surge. Your body speaks first, your mind reacts second. The top 1% understand this. They train their body to stay calm so their mind doesn't get hijacked. Emotions originate in the body before thought. Let's get concrete. You see someone cutting in line. You feel anger. Where does it start? Jaw tenses, shoulders stiffen, heart rate rises. Your mind thinks, How dare they? This is unfair. But that thought is not the cause, it's the commentary. The emotion already existed physically. If your body is already on high alert, thinking calmly is nearly impossible. Chronic stress fuels emotional volatility. Most people complain about being emotional, but what does that really mean? It usually means the body is overcharged. Cortisol runs high, adrenaline spikes constantly, nervous system is trapped in fight or flight. Stress becomes the default state. Small triggers explode into overreactions. Calm seems impossible. The top 1% don't just react to stress, they manage their nervous system continuously. Breath controls emotion. The simplest, most overlooked tool is your breath. Shallow, rapid breathing equals tension, agitation, anxiety. Deep, controlled breathing equals calm, focus, clarity. Try it now. Take a slow breath in for 4 seconds. Hold 1 to 2 seconds. Exhale slowly for 6 seconds. Notice the difference. Breath regulates the nervous system directly. It signals safety. It tells your body you are in control. The elite use breath before they speak, before decisions, and before stress hits. Posture dictates emotional state. Stand slouched. Notice your energy. Notice your confidence. Notice how reactive you feel. Stand tall, shoulders back, chin up, chest slightly forward, feet grounded. Posture isn't vanity, it's biology. Your nervous system senses readiness and calm through physical alignment. Strong posture equals strong emotional baseline. Slouched posture equals weak, reactive emotions. The top 1% carry their bodies intentionally. Every movement, every stance, every gesture communicates stability, first to themselves, then to others. Stillness builds automatic calm. Your body needs pauses, not meditation for an hour, not yoga for 2 hours. Even 1 to 5 minutes of stillness works. Sit, breathe, observe your body, release tension. Stillness resets the nervous system. It dissolves chemical overcharge. It makes calm the default, not chaos. The elite schedule stillness. Even in busy days, they make micro-pauses to reset. Examples of body-based control. Stress at work. Boss criticizes you. Heart races. Mind panics. Most people react immediately, fueled by body chemistry. The elite breathe, adjust posture, pause. By the time they respond, energy is steady, words precise, authority maintained. Traffic frustration. Immediate reaction equals yelling, tension, ruined mood. Body awareness equals shoulders relax, exhale, notice tension, mood preserved, energy intact, day continues. High stakes conversation. Argument escalates, emotions rise. Immediate reaction equals conflict, regret. Physical regulation equals pause, breath, grounded stance. Emotional clarity dominates, conversation controlled. Why training the nervous system multiplies mental control. Observation and disciplined inner dialogue matter, but if your body is already hijacked, those skills are weakened. A calm body reduces overreaction, enhances focus, strengthens decision-making, makes resilience automatic. The top 1% make calm the default physiological state. Mind and body align. Control becomes effortless. How to practice daily. Breath work, 3 to 5 minutes, morning or before stress. Posture check. Remind yourself to sit or stand tall several times per day. Micro stillness. Pause between meetings, calls, or tasks, 60 to 120 seconds. Body scan. Notice tension, release it, reset baseline. Consistency turns physical regulation into automatic emotional armor. Chapter takeaway. Your mind is not the only battlefield. Your body drives emotional reactions. Chronic stress fuels volatility. Breath, posture, and stillness regulate the system. A calm body produces a calm mind automatically.
Chapter 9. Boundaries create emotional safety. Most people think boundaries are selfish. They think, I don't want to hurt anyone. I have to say yes to keep the peace. I'll manage later. That's emotional poverty. Weak boundaries invite chaos. They make you reactive, drained, and powerless. The top 1% know this truth. Your boundaries are your emotional armor. Without them, your stability is always at risk. Weak boundaries invite emotional chaos. Here's the uncomfortable reality. People push limits when they sense weakness. They take, argue, demand, or manipulate when boundaries are fuzzy. No clarity equals constant stress. No boundaries equals constant reaction. The result? Drained energy, compromised focus, anxiety, and resentment. You can't master emotions if your environment is full of leaks. Boundaries don't restrict others. They protect you from unnecessary emotional exposure. Saying no protects mental clarity. Most people are afraid of saying no. They think, I'll hurt someone's feelings. They'll think I'm selfish. I should do it anyway. Here's the truth. Saying yes to everything says yes to chaos. When you say no, you preserve energy, you protect focus, you retain emotional authority. No is a power word. It's not aggression, it's strategic self-respect. The elite say no without guilt. They understand that their mental clarity is worth far more than approval. Guard time, energy, and attention. Boundaries are not only about people, they are about everything that demands your emotional energy. Endless notifications, time-wasting conversations, toxic environments, mental clutter. The top 1% create filters. Time is scheduled, energy is protected, attention is focused. Every unguarded moment is a chance for emotion to hijack you. Boundaries teach others how to engage with you. Here's a truth most people ignore. Your behavior sets the rules. Weak boundaries. Others interrupt constantly. Others disrespect your limits. Others drain your emotional reserves. Strong boundaries. Others learn respect. Others adjust behavior. Emotional safety becomes predictable. The top 1% do not demand respect with words alone. They model it through boundaries. Examples of strong boundaries. Work environment. Colleagues email at midnight. A reactive person answers immediately, stressed. A strong boundary person responds during work hours, energy preserved, authority maintained. Family obligations. Someone demands time during your critical focus period. A reactive person gives in, distracted, frustrated. A strong boundary person politely declines or reschedules, mental clarity intact. Friendship dynamics. Toxic friends provoke drama constantly. A reactive person engages, loses energy. A strong boundary person steps back, communicates limits. Peace is maintained. Boundaries are non-negotiable emotional infrastructure. Why people resist boundaries? Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of looking selfish. Let's be clear, these fears are temporary discomfort. The cost of weak boundaries is permanent emotional drain. The elite choose discomfort in the short term to secure long-term emotional stability. Boundaries are training tools. Every boundary you set teaches others how to speak to you, how to request from you, how to respect your time and energy. Boundaries are not walls, they are signals. They create predictable interactions. Predictability reduces emotional chaos. It allows you to focus on what truly matters.
How to implement boundaries daily. Assess your energy leaks. Who, what, and where. Say no clearly. Avoid over-explaining or apologizing. Schedule protected time, work, rest, reflection. Communicate limits consistently. Your rules are non-negotiable. Remove toxic triggers. Reduce exposure to drama, gossip, and manipulation. Consistency turns boundaries into automatic emotional shields. Chapter takeaway. Weak boundaries invite chaos. Saying no protects mental clarity. Guard your time, energy, and attention. Boundaries train others how to engage with you.
Chapter 10. Calm is your competitive advantage. Most people chase intensity. They think being busy, reactive, or fired up equals productivity. It doesn't. In reality, calm is the ultimate competitive advantage. The top 1% know this instinctively. They don't let chaos dictate decisions. They don't let pressure hijack their thinking. They return to calm, fast, consistently, and intentionally. And that calm compounds into results no one else can match. Calm improves decision quality. Your brain functions best in a calm state. Stress narrows focus. It triggers emotional bias. It blocks creativity. It inflates risk perception. When you are calm, you see options more clearly. You weigh consequences accurately. You act strategically instead of reactively. Decision quality is not just thinking clearly. It's thinking from a calm, controlled physiology. The elite do not make important decisions while agitated. They make them after regaining composure. Stress narrows perception. Ever notice how small challenges feel enormous under pressure? Under stress, details are missed. Context is ignored. Emotions hijack judgment. Your perception contracts. Your choices shrink. Your opportunity is lost. Calm expands perception. It gives clarity of what truly matters. The top 1% see what others miss because their minds are free of emotional fog. The elite return to calm faster. Here's the real edge. Everyone gets stressed. Everyone feels pressure. Everyone experiences triggers. The difference is speed of recovery. The elite don't linger in chaos. They pause, breathe, ground themselves, refocus. While others stew, they execute. While others panic, they adapt. While others react, they dominate. Calm is not passive. It is active power in motion. Emotional steadiness compounds performance. Think compound interest. Emotional steadiness works the same way. Each moment of calm preserves energy, improves decision-making, reduces unnecessary conflict, builds trust with others, increases long-term performance. Over weeks, months, years, calm becomes a force multiplier. It magnifies results far beyond raw effort. The top 1% win repeatedly, not because they never face stress, but because they navigate it better than anyone else. Everyday examples of calm as advantage. Negotiation. Opponent raises stakes. Reactive person panics, concedes. Calm person waits, assesses, counters strategically. Outcome: superior deal, energy preserved. Conflict at work. Coworker criticizes in public. Reactive person explodes, loses respect. Calm person listens, responds with measured words. Outcome: authority maintained, influence increased. Market or career pressure. Unexpected challenge threatens success. Reactive person spirals. Calm person evaluates options, acts decisively. Outcome: opportunity seized, stress managed. Calm is the hidden currency of influence and success. How to return to calm quickly. Breath reset. Deep inhale, longer exhale. Repeat 3 to 5 times. Physical grounding.
Feet on floor, shoulders relaxed, spine aligned. Internal pause. Observe your reaction without judgment. Shift attention. Ask, what is actionable here? This is not meditation. This is strategic recovery. The elite do it automatically under pressure. Calm is a signal to others. Calm is also a silent message. Confidence, authority, reliability. People follow calm leaders. They trust calm problem solvers. They defer to those who don't panic under stress. Your calm influences the room, not just your mind. Chapter takeaway. Calm is more than peace. It increases decision quality, expands perception, and multiplies performance. The elite return to calm faster than anyone else. Emotional steadiness compounds results over time.
Chapter 11. Confidence is emotional self-trust. Most people confuse confidence with luck, talent, or appearances. They think, I'll feel confident when I succeed. I'll feel confident when I get validation. I'll feel confident when circumstances are perfect. That's backwards. Confidence is not external. It is internal. It comes from one thing: emotional self-trust. The top 1% know this instinctively. They don't rely on mood or opinion. They rely on their ability to control themselves every single day. Confidence grows from emotional reliability. Imagine someone you can always count on. They keep their word. They stay steady under pressure. They manage themselves even when chaos hits. You trust them, right? Now apply that principle to yourself. If you keep your emotions consistent, if you respond intentionally, if you act from control instead of reaction, you begin to trust yourself. And self-trust is the root of confidence. Keeping promises to yourself builds authority. Let's be clear. Your own word is your first authority. When you say, I will pause before reacting, I will conserve energy, I will stay calm, and you do it consistently, you prove something powerful to yourself, to others. Every promise you keep builds your internal authority. It is silent. It is undeniable. It is confidence that doesn't fluctuate with praise or approval. Self-trust dissolves fear. Fear comes from uncertainty, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss. When you trust your own emotional reliability, fear shrinks, because even if things go wrong, you know you can manage your response. You know you won't spiral. You know you won't lose control. Emotional self-trust transforms fear into calculated action. The top 1% don't act fearlessly because they're brave. They act confidently because they are emotionally unshakable. Emotional consistency creates confidence. Consistency is invisible to most people, but it is loud to your nervous system. Every time you delay reaction, conserve energy, return to calm, honor your boundaries, you are telling your body, I am steady. I can handle this. I am in control. The result? Confidence grows quietly, organically, automatically. This is why the top 1% appear confident even in chaos, because they've trained themselves internally first. Everyday examples of emotional self-trust. Business decisions. You face a high-stakes choice. Reactive person hesitates, panics, and doubts. Self-trusted person evaluates calmly, trusts judgment, acts decisively. Outcome? Confidence reinforced, results achieved. Social pressure. Friends, family, or colleagues push for your reaction. Reactive person bends, caves, or argues unnecessarily. Self-trusted person pauses, responds intentionally, preserves energy. Outcome? Self-respect, authority, calm, reinforced. Personal setbacks. Failure triggers anger or despair. Reactive person spirals, loses confidence.
Self-trusted person manages response, learns, resets emotionally. Outcome: resilience, strengthened confidence, emotional control intact. Confidence is built moment by moment, not declared overnight. Why most people lack true confidence? Because they rely on validation from others, success as proof, circumstances aligning, all external, all temporary, all unreliable. The top 1% rely on internal consistency. They know their confidence is not at the mercy of mood or opinion. They trust themselves. They act. They repeat. That is unstoppable. How to practice emotional self-trust daily. Honor commitments to yourself. Start small. Stay consistent. Track your emotional reactions. Note triggers and responses. Return to calm intentionally. Don't let stress hijack trust. Review promises kept. Celebrate internal victories, not external validation. Reflect daily. Ask, did I manage myself as I intended? Self-trust is practical, measurable, repeatable. Chapter Takeaway. Confidence is not luck. It grows from emotional reliability. Keeping promises to yourself builds authority. Self-trust dissolves fear. Emotional consistency creates lasting, unshakable confidence. Chapter 12. Emotional mastery is a strategic advantage. You've learned to pause. You've learned to conserve energy. You've learned to control your body and mind. You've learned to trust yourself. Now it's time to see the final truth. Emotional mastery is not just personal growth, it is a strategic advantage. The top 1% don't just manage themselves, they leverage their emotional control to influence, dominate, and succeed. Emotional control separates leaders from followers. Every organization, team, and social situation has chaos. People argue, stress spikes, fear and panic spread. Most people react. They lose composure. They make poor choices. Leaders act differently. Leaders maintain calm. Leaders assess objectively. Leaders act decisively. That difference is emotional control. It is what separates those who command from those who follow. You can't fake this. You can't pretend it. You either have it or you don't, and it is built, not born. Calm individuals dominate chaotic environments. Think of every crisis you've witnessed: financial meltdowns, workplace emergencies, family conflicts. The calm person does more than survive. They dominate. They extract opportunity where others see threat. They act while others react. They see solutions where others see obstacles. Calmness is not weakness, it is strategic clarity. It is power in action. The top 1% understand that chaos is a stage. Calm is the spotlight. The performance is entirely in your control. Stability increases influence and trust. People follow consistency. If you are reactive, people avoid you. If you are volatile, people doubt you. If you are emotionally unpredictable, people resist your guidance. Stability is magnetic. It builds trust instantly. It increases influence effortlessly. When you manage yourself, others feel safe. When others feel safe, they follow you. Influence multiplies naturally. The elite use emotional stability as invisible authority. Emotional mastery compounds success over time. Mastery is not a single moment. It is a compounding effect. Every pause, every breath, every delayed response, every conserved energy moment, it adds up. Career advancement accelerates. Relationships strengthen. Decisions improve. Stress no longer dictates your life. It is the silent multiplier. The top 1% don't just survive challenges, they leverage them. They convert every setback into advantage. Emotional mastery is not just self-protection, it is strategic leverage over life itself. Examples of strategic advantage. Negotiation. While others panic over stakes, you remain calm. You control timing, words, and outcomes. Result: superior deals, authority reinforced. Leadership under pressure. Team panics during failure or crisis. You maintain emotional control. Decision-making clarity emerges. Result: trust grows, influence multiplies, outcomes improve. High-stress life situations. Arguments, deadlines, financial pressure, unexpected setbacks. You respond strategically, not emotionally. You protect energy, act decisively, and preserve long-term results. Strategic steps to lock in mastery. Daily practice. Repetition creates automaticity. Body regulation, breath, posture, and stillness reinforce calm. Selective engagement. Spend emotional energy intentionally. Boundaries. Protect your environment and energy. Self-trust. Keep promises to yourself to strengthen confidence. Each action compounds. Each decision reinforces authority. Each day, mastery grows stronger. Why emotional mastery is the final edge. Everyone has access to knowledge, skill, and talent. Few have emotional leverage. Skills without control crumble under stress. Knowledge without composure fails under pressure. Opportunity without emotional readiness is wasted. Emotional mastery is the force multiplier that turns potential into performance. It is the difference between the average and the extraordinary. Chapter takeaway. Emotional mastery is a strategic advantage. Control separates leaders from followers. Calm individuals dominate chaos. Stability builds influence. Mastery compounds success over time. You now possess the blueprint the top 1% use every day. But remember, knowledge is worthless without action. Your mission is simple. Apply, practice, and integrate every principle you've learned. When you do, emotional mastery becomes not just a skill, but a way of life. You will no longer react to life. You will shape it. You will lead it. You will win it.
Closing. Congratulations. You've just walked through the principles that separate the top 1% from everyone else. You now understand that emotional mastery is not about luck, talent, or circumstances. It's about intentional practice. It's about structure, awareness, and self-trust. It's about turning calm into power and control into leverage. You learn to build your emotional baseline, the foundation that keeps you steady when everything around you falls apart. You learn to observe instead of react, to discipline your inner dialogue, and to identify your triggers. You discovered that emotional energy is finite, and that delayed response and selective engagement give you leverage most people never develop. You saw how the body and mind work together, why boundaries protect your peace, and how confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. And most importantly, you now know that emotional mastery is a strategic advantage. It separates leaders from followers. It multiplies influence. It compounds success over time. Here is the truth most people never accept. You cannot control the world. You cannot control circumstances. You cannot control other people. But you can control yourself. And that changes everything. The top 1% are not extraordinary because of opportunity. They are extraordinary because they built an internal system no external chaos can break. Now it's your turn. This is not about inspiration. This is about application. Build your baseline. Observe. Don't react. Conserve your emotional energy.
set boundaries, stay calm under pressure. Do this consistently, and your life will change in ways most people cannot imagine. If this audiobook helped you, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone who needs emotional control right now. And if you're ready to go deeper, check the next audiobook on this channel to continue building the mindset and discipline of the top 1%. This is your blueprint. Now take it, apply it, master it, because emotional mastery is your ultimate advantage. Go make it unstoppable.